Off the coast of Somalia, 250 pirates in 31 speedboats attacked a U.S. supply ship, mistaking it for a cargo vessel, but targeting the lifeblood of the U.S. Navy. They seized the ship in minutes, unaware of the wrath to come. Seahawk helicopters, FA-18 jets, and MQ-25 drones carrying 300 special forces descended, homing in on the pirate stronghold. A lightning-fast rescue or a message etched in fire comment. #1 to dive into this gripping story now. On July 5, 2025, in the sweltering waters off the coast of Somalia, 31 high-speed boats carrying 250 pirates launch an attack on a U.S. supply ship. The vessel, quietly transporting critical supplies to a nearby U.S. aircraft carrier, is targeted by pirates armed with rocket-propelled grenades and heavy machine guns, moving with alarming coordination. Within minutes, the pirates have nearly taken full control of the ship, but they've underestimated their enemy. Moments later, the sky erupts. 10 MH-60 Seahawk helicopters carrying 300 elite U.S. Special Forces armed with cutting-edge weaponry descend. 5 FA-18 Super Hornets and 20 MQ-25 Stingray drones zero in on a single target, the pirate stronghold. And then America comes knocking with steel, fire, and fury. No negotiations, no mercy, no time for regrets. Because when you seize a ship flying the American flag, you don't just face its sailors, you face the full might of the United States. Join me as we uncover what happened to the crew. At 6:12 a.m. on July 5, 2025, a U.S. carrier supply ship disguised as a civilian cargo vessel quietly navigates the pirate-infested waters off Somalia to provide support. On board are 10 lightly armed U.S. sailors protecting a ship carrying fuel and a classified explosive compound essential for powering F-35 jets and long-range cruise missiles on the carrier. This is no ordinary cargo. It's the lifeline of a U.S. carrier strike group. Suddenly, the cargo ship's alarms blare. 31 high-speed boats racing at over 50 knots swarm from the horizon like a hive of hornets. Each boat carries 8 pirates armed with rocket-propelled grenades, heavy machine guns, and bayonets. Over 240 attackers hardened by years of piracy and battlefield experience. This isn't a random assault. It's a meticulously organized military-style attack. The pirates split into coordinated teams. One group unleashes a barrage of rocket-propelled grenades and boat-mounted guns to pin down the Americans, forcing them to take cover. A second group exploits the ship's blind spots, hurling grappling hooks and scaling the vessel. Gunfire tears through the sea's calm. The American security team returns fire from behind steel containers. 2 pirates are gunned down, but it's not enough. In under 4 minutes, the ship is overrun. 5 Americans are dead. 3 are critically wounded. The pirates storm the bridge and seize control. The surviving sailors and soldiers are bound with zip ties and forced to lie on the deck at gunpoint. But one action changes everything. Before being captured, the ship's captain, a former Navy lieutenant, activates a covert distress signal. It beams directly to the nearest U.S. carrier strike group patrolling less than 200 kilometers away. The pirates, oblivious, celebrate their victory. They believe they've captured another supply ship for ransom. Unaware they've stolen a critical link in the U.S. Navy's firepower chain. Most crucially, they don't know that hundreds of American warplanes are closing in fast. Admiral Sloan faces grim steps to the podium and delivers a simple message. No one seizes U.S. Navy assets and walks away. No one threatens our supply lines without paying a price. America will strike back faster, harder, and further than they ever imagined. This won't end in negotiations. It will end in explosions visible from space. And now it's time for American warriors to reclaim the ship inch by inch. Want to know how they did it? If so, leave a comment with the number 2. If not, leave the number 5. To the outside world, it looks like a rusty cargo ship, slow, quiet, unremarkable. But beneath its steel decks lies one of the U.S. Navy's most critical strategic assets, officially designated Logistics Vessel 72 Delta. The ship carries high-density jet fuel missile stabilizers, thermal ignition compounds, and encrypted electronics for the carrier strike group operating in the Arabian Sea. In short, without this ship, the carrier's F-35S can't fly, and its missile systems can't fire. It's a mobile fuel line, a floating armory, and a high-value target one the Navy never imagined would fall into enemy hands. Unknowingly, by seizing this vessel, the pirates have struck a critical node in America's global strike network. If those materials are sold or worse, reverse-engineered, the consequences would ripple far beyond the Indian Ocean. At the Pentagon, red lights flash. The incident is immediately classified as a national security breach. Intelligence officers fear that if the pirates offload the cargo, the materials could reach hostile nations or terrorist networks. Time is running out. The pirates are now less than 10 nautical miles from their coastal base, a notorious smuggling hub that has evaded international raids for years. The U.S. response must be immediate, overwhelming, and absolute, not just to reclaim the ship, but to send a message to every rogue on Earth: touch America's supply lines, and you'll face the full force of its might. Stay right there. What you're about to witness is one of the fastest and most precise hostage rescue operations in U.S. military history. At 6:15 a.m., just 3 minutes after the pirates overrun the U.S. supply ship, a covert distress signal lights up the operations screens aboard the USS Liberty, the lead carrier of the strike group stationed 128 miles to the southwest. Within 30 seconds, a Priority 1 red alert hostile seizure of high-value naval assets is relayed to 3 U.S. Navy ships and 2 Air Command centers. There's no time for diplomatic channels. Admiral Peter Sloan issues the order without hesitation: launch Operation Thundernet. We move now. The response is swift and razor-sharp. On the USS Liberty, 10 MH-60 Seahawk helicopters are rolled onto the deck, each carrying 30 Navy SEALs and Marines fully armed. A total of 300 elite troops hand-picked for boarding and hostage rescue. Simultaneously, 5 FA-18 Super Hornets are prepped with precision-guided bombs and GAU-7A cannons capable of firing thousands of rounds per minute. In the hangar bays below, crews launch 20 MQ-25 Stingray drones, the latest in AI-driven reconnaissance and strike technology. Each is equipped with dual mini-bomb bays, advanced thermal tracking, and real-time encrypted data feeds to the tactical center. Within 9 minutes of the distress signal, the skies over the Indian Ocean come alive. 3 attack waves are deployed. The first wave, the UAVs, surges ahead to pinpoint the hijacked ship and scan the escort boats. The second wave, the Super Hornets, circles wide, ready to suppress enemy fire from above. The third wave, the Seahawk helicopters, skims low across the sea, evading radar. Each flight group is tracked in real time by satellites and an overhead E-2D Hawkeye early warning aircraft, ensuring complete air dominance. Back on the carrier, Admiral Sloan monitors the digital map. The hijacked ship is now just 8.2 nautical miles from a known pirate compound. If the enemy reaches land, the operation will turn into urban combat, far riskier for the hostages. There's no room for delay, no room for failure. This isn't just a rescue, it's a reckoning. It's a statement. And America is about to deliver it with overwhelming force and pinpoint precision. At 7:01 a.m., as the hijacked U.S. supply ship drifts within sight of the Somali coast, the sky above transforms. From the east, a formation of MQ-25 Stingray drones emerges in complete silence. They fly low and fast, nearly skimming the sea before breaking into attack formation. The lead drone identifies 4 pirate escort boats surrounding the hijacked ship. Within seconds, each target is marked and locked. Then the first wave of firepower hits. Precision mini-bombs rain down from the drones, detonating with surgical accuracy. The sea erupts into columns of water and fire as all 4 escort boats are obliterated in under 12 seconds. Simultaneously, 2 FA-18 Super Hornets scream in from high altitude, strafing the ship's port side. Their cannons tear through the upper deck, shredding sandbagged gun positions and pirate firing points. The RPGs explode mid-air before they can be fired. Then, like phantoms rising from the sea, 10 MH-60 Seahawk helicopters emerge from the west, hovering just above the water. Ropes drop. SEALs and Marines fast rope onto the deck in perfect synchronization. The pirates don't stand a chance. From bow to stern, American warriors move like a well-oiled machine. Room by room, deck by deck, they clear the ship. One team storms the bridge. 2 pirates are taken out before they can raise their weapons. Another team neutralizes enemies near the engine room with flashbangs and suppressed firepower. The hostages, bound and bloodied, are swiftly located and brought to the main deck. Medics stabilize the wounded, while SEALs establish a defensive perimeter. In under 8 minutes, every pirate on the ship is either dead or captured. Not a single American hostage is lost. But the mission isn't over. Drone footage reveals the pirates' main base on land, just 7 nautical miles away, a heavily armed compound with vehicle depots, fuel caches, and radar equipment. It had been a smuggling hub for nearly a decade. Admiral Sloan didn't hesitate. Shift target, destroy it. Within minutes, 4 more Super Hornets roared inland. They dropped GBU-32 JDAM laser-guided bombs, leveling the headquarters in a single pass. Secondary explosions lit up the coastline as fuel and ammo caches erupted into fireballs. The final blow came from above. A Reaper drone launched a Hellfire missile into the command tower. The explosion was visible for miles. By 7:29 a.m., the base was gone. Over 500 pirates were confirmed dead, dozens more captured or buried in the rubble. The message was clear: you don't rob U.S. warships, and you never touch America's lifeline at sea. The pirate compound had stood for years nestled along Somalia's coast, shielded by rugged terrain and corruption. It was their fortress, trading hub, an untouchable sanctuary. By 7:30 a.m. it was rubble. After securing the supply ship, the U.S. Navy unleashed its full might on the pirate base. Using real-time UAV surveillance, precise GPS coordinates were relayed to a second strike group circling inland. First came the FA-18 Super Hornets, flying in a tight combat box formation. At 500 feet, they dropped GBU-32 JDAM laser-guided bombs, striking with pinpoint accuracy. The command center disintegrated instantly. Walls collapsed. The comms tower crumbled. Flames shot into the sky. Next, MQ-9 Reapers swept in, each armed with Hellfire missiles and thermal optics. They targeted bunker entrances and hidden stockpiles. One missile obliterated a concealed weapons cache, triggering a chain of violent secondary explosions that engulfed half the compound in fire. The pirates tried to fight back, but it was futile. Their air defense systems, crude, outdated, were overwhelmed before they could lock on to any aircraft. Then came the ground assault. From 2 CH-53 helicopters, Marines stormed the burning perimeter, executing a synchronized sweep. Using drone data and infrared goggles, they hunted down the last pockets of resistance in alleys and tunnels. No warning shots, no negotiations. Over 500 pirates were neutralized in under 20 minutes. Dozens more too wounded to flee were captured, bound blindfolded, and airlifted for interrogation. By 8:00 a.m., the once formidable pirate fortress was a cratered graveyard, its skyline reduced to smoke and twisted steel. The world watched it live, and for every pirate warlord or rogue nation tuning in, the warning was now etched in fire. You don't touch the United States at sea unless you're ready to vanish from the map. This operation wasn't just a rescue. It was a strategic reminder. In a world increasingly defined by asymmetric warfare, piracy, and gray zone conflict, the U.S. Navy proved that logistics isn't a weakness, it's a strength. A supply ship often overlooked and underprotected proved to be the nerve center of the entire carrier strike group's offensive capability. When that link was threatened, America didn't hesitate. It responded with the full spectrum of modern warfare: surveillance, air dominance, special forces, and precision strikes. The pirates believed they could strike fast, vanish into the coast, and negotiate from a place of fear. Instead, they learned the true cost of provoking a superpower. For U.S. military planners, it was a lesson in readiness. The world's oceans remain contested, and America's global presence is only as strong as its ability to protect its lifelines. This wasn't just about Somalia. It was a warning to every adversary on every coast. Strike a ship and prepare to face the weight of a nation. Rescuing the U.S. supply ship wasn't just a military success. It was a statement. It reminded the world that the United States doesn't tolerate threats to its forces, its people, or its global presence. What began as a brutal ambush by over 240 armed pirates ended with the complete destruction of their forces, the obliteration of their base, and the safe return of every surviving U.S. crew member. But beyond battlefield victory, this operation sent a deeper message. America's strength lies not only in its carriers or fighter jets. It lies in the ability to respond swiftly, precisely, and unrelentingly. Every link in the chain from supply ships to forward bases is guarded by a force that never sleeps, never retreats, and never forgets. To any hostile force watching, the oceans are vast, but nowhere is safe when you target the United States. And to every American watching, rest assured, wherever our flag flies, it is never alone. Operation Thundernet, with Seahawk helicopters deploying elite special forces, precision airstrikes from FA-18 Super Hornets, and MQ-25 Stingray drones, proved the U.S. not only defends its lifelines, but responds with overwhelming force. What do you think of this event? Was it just a military victory or a warning to all adversaries? Leave a comment, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more gripping stories.